Oops, and I have to go here. And I think we can hear you now. Let me just make sure. I got you on mute, and we are sending you live this time.
Awesome.
Oh, perfect.
How's it going?
I did. This is the first time. I can't believe it. I finally didn't mess up that transition. I went one time.
We got it.
One time for my, I think it was for when I started producing it myself. My first guest, I was talking for maybe 2.5 minutes. And then until somebody messaged me like, all it is your face. You have to press the other person. And I went from 2.5 minutes
to 2 seconds.
And then I got a 5-second delay. Next one's going to be 2 seconds. Then I think I'll be golden. Hello, everyone. Welcome to today's BizPod.Ninja. We've got a real special guest on today. I'm really excited to have you, Raaja. How you doing, Raaja?
Good. Thanks for having me, Andre.
Happy Friday.
Happy Friday.
Are you excited? Or are you like me where you just work every weekend too? Every day is the same.
I am excited. Every day kind of runs into one another now, but it's always good to get a little break.
Yeah. Yep. How are you holding up during COVID?
Doing well. I mean, I can't complain. You know, I think you and I are probably luckier than most. And there's some people really struggling out there. So definitely can't complain, but It's pretty annoying. You know, with that said,
we're both in LA.
Yeah,
we're both in LA. And I think it was last week when they announced that we're like locking back down again. I don't know if you were changing anything, if you were like secretly going to like bootleg restaurants underground, but were you doing anything different?
No, I haven't done much. I was considering venturing out to some outdoor restaurants, but then I saw that and figured not worth it anymore. So now pretty much at home, taking walks, going on bike rides. I don't know if you still do that.
And we'll talk about that in a minute. So happy Friday, everyone. BizPod.Ninja weekly, every Thursday or Friday. And so this is our first Friday edition. So that makes you extra special, Raaja. A couple of things. So before we get into your bio, I just want folks to know the first time I had spoken to this man, Raaja Nemani, was actually cycling. And then during the second day, half the time on in the back of a truck where we both got injured. It was last year. We didn't know each other. We both signed up for one of our dear friends' cycling prostate cancer fundraisers through France. We went from Paris to Monaco, 1,000 kilometers. What is that? I think we did about 600 miles over 6 days. Is that right?
That's right. Yeah. Prostate 1000.
Prostate 1000.
And Gideon started this awesome thing. Raised a bunch of money, and it was 6 days, 600 miles from Paris to Monte Carlo, 1,000 kilometers, and it was not easy. It was not easy.
I think we had 25 folks, 25 folks who were part of the group, including support crew. I think we had 20 folks, and we had different pelotons. We'd always say there were 4 pelotons, and there were the pro guys, and the intermediate, the pretty advanced guys, intermediate guys, and then there was beginners. And we call ourselves Peloton 4, and it was pretty much Raaja and myself, and that's how we got to know each other. When we realized that we were the only 2 people who just learned how to cycle, got convinced a couple months before, cycled only like a couple weeks, and then embarked to Paris with our road bikes, and we got there and we realized, what the hell are we doing?
I don't think I knew what Peloton meant until the second or third day.
Yeah, I just thought it was an expensive bike that you just
we're riding in a Peloton, public company. But I guess it's the group riding in the group. That's the Peloton.
Yeah, Pelotons, when you see those, if you've ever seen cyclists in life or in a Tour de France, when they're like right next, like a few inches away, it creates like an air bubble, and you can get, and people alternate, like when geese fly.
If you've seen Mighty Ducks, it's like the Flying V.
The Flying V of Mighty Duck, yeah. And so
Yeah.
when they're like, which Peloton are you? I said, what do you mean? I have a road bike. And one of the guys who we didn't know when we first started that Tour de France, our own for the P1000, he looked at me and shook his head like, oh my goodness, who else is going to be like this on this group? Because there's no way we can cycle through France. But surely enough, we made it. Day two, Raj and I, we had a little of an injury on one occasion. So we shared, that's where we learned that we had a lot of things in common. So
yeah.
it's with great pleasure that I introduced Raaja. He's the co-founder and chief revenue officer of Marketer Hire, a talent marketplace with a mission to make expert marketing accessible to everyone. Disclaimer, I'm an investor in the seed round and in the latest round, so 2 times. Marketer Hire has scaled rapidly with hundreds of clients from early stage startups to Fortune 100 companies in less than a year and a half. So they are hyper scaling, and we'll talk about that a little later. Prior to Marketer Hire, he was co-founder and CEO of Bucket Feet, a footwear brand collaborating with global community of artists to create the most unique shoes in the world. Bucket Feet raised over $20 million in venture capital, including from Adidas, and sold about 1 million pairs of shoes in probably over 30 countries, right?
That's right.
30 plus countries before it was acquired by Threadless in 2017. So first startup, most people never have an exit for many startups. First startup exit, pretty that's a great accomplishment. As a passion project, Raaja co-founded Counterpoint in 2019, a quote unquote both sides political cartoon newsletter with approximately 200,000 subscribers, written and illustrated by Pulitzer Prize winning cartoonists. Pretty interesting. We'll get into that a little later as well. He began his career in private equity, PE, investment banking, and graduated from Northwestern University in 2004, just like myself, twinsies.
Yeah.
Yeah. On the personal front, Raaja is an avid traveler, and now we also know he's an avid cyclist from what we just discussed earlier. In 2008 and 2009, he backpacked around the world by himself for a year and a half, traveling to over 35 countries on every continent. And does that include Antarctica, Raaja, to every continent?
It does not. So I call it 6 continents.
Who is your proofreader?
Six continents. I made it very close. I made it to the southern tip of Argentina and didn't want to cough up the 10 grand or whatever to take a boat to Antarctica.
Should have done it. Then you could have claimed every continent. Sorry, my man.
Yeah.
Okay, let's get into the meat and potatoes of the show. How did you end up going from iBanking, PE, to being an accomplished entrepreneur? First startup to exit. That's pretty incredible. Tell me about your journey here.
Yeah, for sure. Definitely, started out in finance like most, called either you're a doctor or you're in finance or you're a lawyer. If you're an Asian immigrant kid, that's kind of what you do. And it's funny, my parents didn't even want me to go into banking. They didn't know what investment banking was. So they're already disappointed I wasn't going to be a doctor like my brother. So did the whole finance thing. And, I think I was good at it, but wasn't really passionate about it. And I had an option in 2008 to either go to business school, to take a promotion offer at my private equity fund, or to do something different. And I walked into my partner's office.
Which PE fund was this?
I was at a firm called Prairie Capital, lower middle market fund in Chicago.
Got it.
And I said, hey, I'm actually going to travel. I'm going to quit and travel. And this is August of 2008, not knowing that September 2008, for those of you that remember, was a pretty big economic crash. Not necessarily all the stuff we're going through now, but the housing crisis and banks failing and all of that. And it's just been a dream of mine ever since I studied abroad in college to travel, and it felt like the right time. So I started on that journey. And I would say the biggest impact of that trip on now being an entrepreneur, now not being able to imagine any other way of being, for me personally, was it gave me the confidence to do something different. It gave me the confidence to say, hey, I don't need to do the things I'm supposed to do or people want me to do, or just because I can make money here, I should go do that. it gave me the confidence to say, you can do different things and you're fine. Like the world keeps spinning, right? Like my life didn't, people imagine they go try something. They're like, everything gets ruined. That's not reality. It's just another day. And so that trip really inspired confidence more than anything. There was no light bulb moment. But randomly, as I was traveling, I met an artist, another American named Aaron, who's living in Argentina as a photographer and had a hobby.
Sounds like a really good start of a movie.
literally had a side business drawing on shoes. And I bought one of these pairs of shoes and I traveled the world with them, and everywhere I went, people would ask me about them. And instead of saying these are Nikes or Adidas or whatever, I had a story to tell. I was like, oh, well, actually this artist in Argentina designed it, and the inspiration is this. And so post traveling, I had a short stint in the Middle East, actually, in Abu Dhabi. And I moved back to Chicago, had no market study, no business plan, like literally nothing. Didn't understand how to make shoes or what margin you had. And I said, you know what, I'm just going to do it. Doesn't matter. And with a lot of hard work and a lot of luck, quite frankly, we just kind of dragged it into turning into something. And we kind of put one foot ahead of the other. And there you have it.
Wow. Thank you for that. That was, that's an incredible story. Yeah, I think that's, and I've had a lot of people we have colleagues and have come across a lot of folks who don't know how to make that jump. They are stuck on the path, whatever that path is, and they're just scared to even leave their own companies for another large company. And I think once you kind of pull myself, I've worked at like big companies. My first job was at Microsoft, and then I worked at Vodafone Group and other large companies in Samsung, Silicon Valley, etc. So when I had that journey, I kind of had a similar experience to you. I took a sabbatical as well, but a little later, 2013, and took about two years of traveling the world, doing something very similar. That's another thing that we learned, how we had a lot of in common during our cycling tour.
Yeah.
But
sure.
I realized at that point, I'm like, you know what? I'm going to continue on doing this consulting advisory business and do other things. And every time you make a new transition, it really teaches you that everything's fine. The world's still spinning, right?
Yeah, you're not. You lose that fear of failure. There's a great story. I don't know who said this first, but they likened trying something new and many times entrepreneurship to riding a bike. Every single kid that the first time they try to ride a bike, they fall. Yeah. And our parents don't tell us, hey, you fell, like never do that again. Like you should never try it. That's terrible. But somewhere along the way, as we get older and grow up, failing becomes seen as this negative thing that if you don't do something right the first time, you should never do it again. But what I always say is like, why are you you should actually never be good at something the first time. It means that thing is probably like too easy and anyone can do it. Like, you should be the worst at something the first time you try it. And once you change your mind and perspective on failure and realize that's the only time you're learning, actually, that's the only time you're doing something hard, then it flips the script on that whole thing. And so I always remind myself of that.
Thank you, Raaja. That's powerful. I love that. That's such a cool way of thinking and a great perspective. I will steal that, and I may not reference whom I stole. What was the main learning lesson at Bucket Feet? So we just heard about your incredible journey, how you started it. Raising capital to transacting first time. That's an incredible journey.
Yeah, I would say two learnings that I think maybe be helpful for everyone, particularly like first time entrepreneurs. So number one is fundraising. The best piece of advice I got, and I think it was from Dan Leviton at Maveron, who actually never invested in my company. And he said to me, and he loved my shoes, supposedly loved the shoes, wore them all the time. This is before Allbirds came out, and now I think he's an Allbirds fan. And he said, me liking your shoes is not necessarily that relevant to me investing in your business. Because what entrepreneurs think is, this person loves it, they use it, they try it, they're going to invest in my business. And that's not the reality, right? One, LPs give a fund money to invest in certain things. So first of all, you have to fit within those certain things. Then
Right.
2, you have to be at the right stage at the right time for that particular fund. And then even if you are at the right stage and right time, they have to have enough capital left to actually make sense to make new investments. And then even if they have that, they have to have not too many shoe brands yet, because they don't want to be overexposed to footwear brands. Yep. So there's all these things, and fundraising isn't hard necessarily because it's hard to have a good idea and to have traction and get in front of people. Fundraising is hard because all these things that have nothing to do with you and your business are hugely important to fundraising. And that's why, you have to give yourself enough time. You have to take enough meetings and calls. You have to play the long game here. And you have to not take it personal. You have to realize you're going to get way more no's than you are yeses. Even if you're the hottest company in the world, Airbnb, when they first were raising money, they got way more no's than yeses. So that's 1. And then 2 is I used to always try to adapt myself to the people I hired. So I would, our team grew pretty big, and I would always try to be the perfect boss for each person. So, this person needs a lot of feedback, I'm going to give a lot of feedback. This person needs room, I'm going to give a lot of room. And I was trying to change myself for 100 people. And that's impossible. You can't change yourself for 100 people. And so I actually learned this lesson through the pain sometimes of bucket feet, but also through Shoe Dog, Phil Knight's book on Nike, which is he would hire people that could deal with him the way he was. Because it's a lot easier for all your employees to adapt to you than it is for you to adapt to 100, 1,000, 10,000 employees.
Yeah, that's a great point.
And then going in, the culture's there, like everything's there, because you're not trying to change everything for every new person that comes in. And it's kind of counterintuitive, because as a leader, you try to be this great leader, you try to adapt, you try to hear everyone, but it's so counterintuitive to being successful as a manager.
That's very insightful. Yeah. That's a good insight from, strong business ninja insights into general management, because I even if you're not managing people, I feel even that's the way you should even act towards investors too. Like that same kind of mindset. You can't always tailor them. You have to be real and raw. And somebody, either an investor or the people you hire, compliment you, or they don't. And if they don't, that means that was your problem. You didn't actually hire the right person or bring on the right investor.
Yeah, and if you're not transparent, it's gonna come to light eventually, and then you're all just gonna be bummed out. Like employees are gonna be bummed out they joined this company they don't like. You're gonna be bummed out that you hired this person, and the same is with investors, like you said. Like it's eventually starting a company is hard. Ben Horowitz calls it the hard thing about hard things. And so all these things are going to come to light eventually.
That's right. All right. Thank you for those insights. So what are you up to today? Tell me, I think you got a couple of things that you're working on.
Yeah. So I have a kind of small passion project that's randomly gotten very large. My co-founder and business partner, Chris, who I started Marketer Hire with, we also helped co-found this 2-sided political cartooning newsletter. And the idea behind it was, having a contribution toward everyone's trying to figure out, like, how do we get rid of fake news? How do we get people to talk to each other? How do we have discourse? And so the insight there was, and we can't take credit for us, we have partners, was that if you just admit to your bias on both sides, that's a way for people to start believing again what you say. So when we put something on the left out, we'll say, this is the left. Like, this is bias to the left. When we put something on the right out, this is the right, and this is bias to the right. And because it's cartoons, it does it in a bit of a fun way where people will actually react and talk about it. And, if you ever go to our Facebook page, you will see the depths of the internet trolls come out on these cartoon posts. But at least people are talking. At least people are talking and listening to different viewpoints. Where I spend 99% of my time is a company called Marketer Hire.
Before we get to Marketer Hire, where can folks find your materials on both sides? Because that's interesting.
Yeah, so it's called Counterpoint. And if you just go to counterpoint.com, you can sign up. There's a free version of the newsletter that goes out twice a week. And then there's a paid version for 5 times a week.
Awesome. So Marketer Hire.
Yeah.
Your Your latest creation.
Yeah, so with Chris, we started this company, and I can take no credit for it. Chris has been a lifetime marketer, and this is probably something he's been thinking about for the last 10 years, and we're finally doing it. But really simple. Our mission is to make expert marketing accessible to everyone. Today, we do that by connecting companies, big and small, to best-in-class, pre-vetted marketers on demand that you can work with remotely and on a freelance basis. We want to make hiring a marketer, which forever has seemed like the hardest thing to do because nobody seems to understand marketing and everyone defines it differently and everyone wants different things. We want to make it as easy. Yeah, not like some of these things that have become a bit more codified. Marketers are still seen as magicians to an extent. We want it to feel just as easy as, calling an Uber. We want to feel just as easy as, finding a place on Airbnb. But for a person that can literally be the difference between you building a huge business or not building a huge business. So really, really important in today's day and age. And we launched that we publicly launched on Product Hunt in February 2019. And we've, in the last 12 months, we've 10x the business. It's growing very, very fast, very much faster than anything I've ever been involved with, much faster than anything Chris has ever been involved with. And it's amazing because we literally have some of the most well-known brands in the world, and we're not reaching out to brands.
Ones? What are some of the most brands in the world?
Yeah, so a new client of ours.
Feel free to self-promote on this one.
Yeah. So a new client of ours is Netflix. Netflix is a client. We didn't reach out to them. We have no relationship with Netflix. They literally filled out a form just like everyone else. And the fact that, companies like that need help with this tell you how broken the system is. Hiring is really hard. It takes a lot of time. It's hard to vet people. And it's the reason a lot of people go the agency route. The problem with agencies is agencies are very, very expensive. They charge massive premiums. They have massive profit margins. And so we're really trying to cut out the middleman, get you direct to talent.
What are the margins on agencies typically?
I mean, it differs. But one of the reasons agencies
I've seen like 30% to like 100%.
Yeah, one of the reasons agencies are expensive, especially if you think about performance marketing, is typically they'll charge you on percentage of spend. So as you're scaling, spend on, let's say, Facebook, they're getting a fixed percentage of that spend. And the work arguably is getting easier as you're scaling. It's actually really hard to set things up properly.
Yeah.
It's easier to maintain things and keep them going and keep them going well. Of course, there's more work with more spend, but that's why they cost so much. And so we wanted to create a model where you pay for the time you need, and that's it. And so, we think we've built a better mousetrap.
You certainly have, given the numbers that I've seen, and another reason why I've also reinvested in the latest round. So double down there. What is the secret sauce? How can you talk, why is marketer hire so good relative to your competitors? I know why, but can you just give the folks who are either watching live right now or in the future, why is marketing hire, how have you been able to attract so many top global brands? What is it that you're doing better than everyone else? Because that's an important reason for scale, that as how you are scaling.
Ultimately, it comes down to, do we have great marketers? Can we match them to you quickly? And can we give you confidence by allowing you to try them and work with them on a very limited or low risk or no risk?
Can you define great marketers?
Yeah. So one of the hardest things about hiring for marketers is figuring out if they're good. If you can't run Facebook ads yourself at a very high level, how are you expected to vet somebody for being able to do that job at a high level? And the reason marketing is extra hard is because marketing is changing so rapidly, right? Algorithms on every platform are changing weekly. Tactics and strategies are changing daily. New platforms are popping up all the time. A few years ago, there was no TikTok. TikTok's is a massive thing that you need to be on now, right? When I launched my first company, Instagram wasn't a thing.
Yeah.
There's no influencer marketing. There's no Instagram marketing.
Yep.
So it's changing so rapidly. It makes it even harder to keep up with that change. And so, being able to identify the right people, having a system in place to do that, and then being able to connect.
What I'm trying to get at a little bit, like what percentage of like the general marketplace would you, look, what's your acceptance rate?
Yeah, so we accept less than 5% of marketers that apply to the platform. And there's not a fixed rate there necessarily, but we have a very, very high bar. And these aren't, people, nothing against kids just out of college. And there are obviously some wonder kids out there that are just very, very good and talented. But these aren't people with no experience that you can hire cheaply. These are premium people. These are people that have worked at companies you aspire to be like. These are people that have real accomplishments that you can go check out.
What companies?
Yeah, so, our marketers come from, pretty much every top company you can think of. We have marketers with experience from them, from, the Coca-Colas and the Amazons to the, to the Allbirds and the Thrive Market to the, Netflixes and Airbnbs and Ubers. Our marketers bring that type of experience to the table. And that's really great because, if you were going to try to hire that person full-time in-house, you couldn't afford them, or you just couldn't get them. They have so many options in terms of who to work with. And so we give them an option to work with lots of different clients, and we give clients an option to work with the best talent for the amount of time they need it. So one of the things we say a lot is the right marketer, but also the right amount of marketing. Everyone doesn't need 40 hours a week of an expert. Everyone doesn't need, somebody in-house sitting in an office for 60 hours a week. Some people need somebody 10 hours a week spending on their Facebook account.
Yep. That's kind of how my corporate development advisory practice works. Same thing. And that's the same sort of values that I found how I work with, from startups to like Fortune 100 companies where I'll work with teams. So like, we don't necessarily, Andreas, 100%, but I might be able to contribute 10%, 15, 25%. And it's the same thing in marketing. So last question on this.
Well, on that note, Andreas, I mean, if you were at a big firm to work with you, like you might still be doing the work and that client of yours is going to pay 10x. But because they're able to go direct to you, they still get you, right? That hasn't changed, but they pay way less. And so like the value prop there is so massive.
Yep. That's right. And one last question. So the marketers that are on Marketer Hire platform, are they full-time freelance or independent, or does, depending on the companies that allow them, are they able to moonlight or do side projects? Like what's the split between people who are fully independent, who had those previous backgrounds at P&G or Coca-Cola or Microsoft, that are now fully independent, versus those who are, this is maybe part of their side hustle?
Yeah, and side hustles have become popular and accepted, and I feel like everyone has something on the side. And we don't get intertwined with what agreements an employee might have with the company they work with, but call it 50-60% of our marketers are full-time freelance, and many of them choose to freelance with us exclusively because we get them the best clients, we pay them the best rates, everything's just really easy and smooth. But then a lot of marketers, they're full-time and they just want to make extra money, or they want to be challenged. And so we keep a really close eye on how much capacity everybody has, and we match that in a very data-driven way with what the demand is for certain roles. Got it.
Thank you for that. Now for some final fun questions, because this is not all, BizPod.Ninja isn't only business.
Awesome.
It's not,
there you go.
Now it's fun time. I've got the hat on. So during, what do you like to be? What do you like to eat these days? What's your go-to staple food at home during? Everyone has one. I've got a secret stash of Nugs 2.0 arriving.
Nice.
I'm an investor as well in Nugs, but they are so freaking good. That's when I realized that like this is a company to invest in. So, plus I also like the chocolate covered bananas dessert that you get at Trader Joe's. So I have, I have various things. What are a few of your staples?
So the one thing that's kind of a constant is Trader Joe's sells these chocolate and turbinado sugar covered almonds.
Wow.
So dark chocolate, I think there's some sea salt on there, turbinado sugar. I go through a box of those every every few days. But otherwise, you know, trying to eat a bit healthier. My wife's vegetarian, so the one silver lining of COVID is I've probably been eating a lot healthier than pre-COVID and eating at home a lot.
Yeah, no, it's changed everything. I used to be, you know, obviously go out quite a bit myself, and I live here. You know, we both live in LA, great, amazing restaurant.
Yeah.
But I am saving a lot of money now, realizing how much I don't get to eat out anymore. It's much cheaper to eat home. That was easy.
Yeah. It's shocking.
Okay, let's say post-COVID, everything's open tomorrow. You know, the rays of sun have gleamed upon Earth. Corona is out. Where's the first place you go on Open Table, or where would you make your first reservation?
Oh man,
in LA, because of course there's many other great restaurants in the world, but because we're both in LA, what's the restaurant you would go to?
Yeah, that's a great question. So this isn't like a super fancy place, but it's close to where we live in Brentwood. There's a pizza place on Wilshire called Milo and Olive.
Oof,
that we love. I mean, it's like amazing. I think like Neapolitan pizza. And they like cook it right in front of you, and it's like the ovens and like great wines, and it's kid friendly. So I mean, even me and my daughter will go and sit at the bar because she likes
kid friendly. They let me in.
Seeing the pizza oven, yeah, exactly. So that's one of our favorite, just kind of local family spots.
I love that place. Actually, when we're able to meet up, that's going to be the first place where we'll have to have dinner.
Okay, done.
The next time we hang out and eat something. What are you reading these days?
The last book I read, I think, was Skin in the Game, by Nassim Nicholas Taleb. I always mix up his first and middle name, but by Nassim Taleb. Amazing. He wrote Black Swan, which is obviously a very famous book.
Yeah.
So that's great. And then, you know, I'm super into like philosophy and stuff like that. So I always come back to actually The Prophet by Khalil Gibran. It's like a very short book of poetry, basically. A lot of amazing life lessons. Like if you're ever like stuck and you just want to like rethink about how you're approaching life or work or marriage or anything, it's like a very quick like reminder of putting things in perspective.
Yeah, that is a great read. I have a copy here as well, although it is dusty, so I can't claim that I've read it recently or in the medium. How are you staying fit?
So I've been trying to.
I mean, by the way, that's implying that I'm not saying that. I'm not implying that you are fit. I'm just saying
I am.
You are fit though.
I'm moderately fit. Been trying to still ride my bike. Trying to convince Andreas to do a LA to Vegas bike ride in a few months. So we'll see.
Oh yeah, we got to start
training for that. We got to start training for
that.
Last
time I rode a bike, I was in France, and that was a year ago.
Yeah, that's about it.
That's awesome. Raaja, loved having you on the show today. You're a true business ninja. Thank you very much for making the time. Lots of insights and truths from the trenches. Great to see you, and stay safe out there.
Thanks so much. Thanks for having me. It's awesome.
Thank you.